Okay, the situation is trying to restore a large WordPress database, this one, which is almost a gigabyte in size. Even after compressing it, it was 110 megabyte, and it actually crashed because it was taking so long by using this import features in the cPanel. Even though on the left side it looks normal, everything looks fine, but then since it's crashed in the middle, this is what this current site is looking like. That means all the data did not get restored properly. So from this situation, we're trying to go back and recover it, but the dilemma here is that if I try to do that again, it's going to take the same amount of time, and meanwhile cPanel will time out, and we're going to end up with the same result. I would like to use a tool that I recently installed, which is called MySQL Bench. With this app, I'm going to try to connect, and MySQL is built by Oracle, and this is MySQL's database app. As you can see, I have established a few more connections before. I only bring this out whenever I have to handle huge size database, and this is going to be my effort to recover the data using this time from this scenario so that we can get our site back. Okay, so before we get started with MySQL Workbench, we have to configure our MySQL database with remote connection so that from here, from my local workstation, I can actually reach the MySQL database remotely. So for that, we have to come to cPanel and click on Remote MySQL. And this will actually ask me for a IP address, right? So the way I find out my IP address is this way. What is my IP? Basically, I put IP before, otherwise because they just put a IPv6 address. So I just went to this website, and from here I collect my IP address. That's the external one. So right here we have to let cPanel know where I'm coming from, right? All right, here we go. Successfully added. Now we go back and I see my IP address now right here. So right now we are ready, at least cPanel side, it's ready to receive a connection request from my home IP address. And next we are gonna jump into setting up the MySQL Workbench. Okay, so now I have the cPanel and the MySQL Workbench side by side. So now we're going to add a new connection, and in here we collect this IP address from here. That's our target IP, which we just set up the remote connection with. And now this user we will find by going to MySQL Databases. And this is my target DB, and this is the user. So let's collect this user, paste in here, and we're going to add the password. Okay, we're going to name it, let's just say large DB remote. All right, looks like all set. Now let's test this connection. So it's showing we have successfully made the connection. Okay, all right. Now this is something that we're going to click to get to the database. All right, so here we can check the server status. Can actually make it larger now. So we actually reached our database, and from there we can actually go to data export, and it's showing the target database we talked about here, right there. And we can import data as we wish from the dumps. And next we are going to show how to pull the data in the database. All right, so now that we are here finally, I'm going to show first how to export the data. So coming here and this one opens up, and as we can see, this is the destination. So we just went right there, document dumps right here. So we chose the database, and now we are going to start the export. That's fine. Okay, so it just finished exporting the SQL dump. It's right here. It's about 300 megabyte. It's pretty large, and it took a while, but it is successful, right? So next one we're gonna cover is how to import, because that's the actual target here. Because this database, I mean, even though I just showed it to show how it's done, but this is not a full database. This is a corrupted one, because this is the reason our site currently looks like this, right? So next we're gonna go ahead and replace this one and restore the old database so that old site comes back to normal. All right, so we are going to start our import right now. So the target database is dropped here in the dump folder, and right here is this is for the import dumps, and this is what a dump usually looks like, a bunch of SQL file in a folder. But we're going to choose a import from a self-contained file like this. So we are going to pick it up from right here, which is the target folder. Okay, and now we have to mention our target database, which is this guy right here. And now we can go start the import. All right, so our import failed because it actually found the existing tables in there. So looks like what we missed is we have to empty out the database before we do so. So let's go back, and this time we are going to use Phpmyadmin and find the target database and go all the way down, check all, and drop. Now this is an empty database, so let's go back. Everything is still in place, and restart our import. Okay, so looks like import finally finished. So we brought this one in, this file right here, which is a almost a gigabyte in size, 970 megabyte. And now let's do some testing to make sure everything is all right. Let me see the server status. Things are looking all right. And let's go to the database. And this is the database. This was our target. And let's see. Looks like 92 tables are in. And also now, finally, we're going to cross our fingers and try to make sure that our site is back. And you can see here, I was timing it with this, and it took about 2 hours and 13 minutes. And now let's see. Let's do a refresh. Boom, we have our site back. So that was it. So basically, when we fail to use regular MySQL export and import, when it actually timed out, so what we ended up doing, we ended up communicating with the database directly from a local system, and then import the data using one of these tools. And that remotely, it took its time, but it actually ended up uploading the data properly. So we have all our database, the whole database restored, and thus got our site back. It took about 2 hours, but at least it worked. We had success. Thank you very much.